We will see Poland resist invaders, Russia grow from a small nation into the largest country in the world, and Turkey transform from ancient Anatolia to a modern republic. You'll witness Iran's ancient Persian dynasties, Germany's wars, and the United States rise from weak colonies to a global superpower. And we will go from relatively evolved to moderately, and all the way to radical transformations. Greece. Ancient Greece began with the Minoans and the Mycenaeans, followed by city-states like Athens, Sparta, and Corinth. The classical period saw the rise of democracy, philosophy, and the Persian Wars. Alexander the Great created a vast empire, spreading Hellenistic culture to 3 continents. Greece was overrun by Rome in 146 BC, and later became part of the Byzantine Empire, which preserved Orthodox Christianity and Greek culture. Constantinople fell to the Ottomans in 453. Greece was occupied by the Ottomans for centuries. Their Greek War of Independence led to a European-supported kingdom. Greece expanded during the Balkan Wars and also in World War I. In World War II, Greece resisted Italy but fell to Germany. Post-war, it faced a brutal civil war between the royalists and the communists. A military junta ruled for 13 years, and Greece became a republic following the junta. Greece remains the birthplace of Western civilization. The integrity of its heritage still attracts millions of tourists yearly. Italy. Italy began with the Romans and the Etruscans. Rome evolved into a kingdom, a republic, and finally the Roman Empire, which ruled Europe, North Africa, and the Middle East. The Western Roman Empire fell in 476 AD. Italy broke up into city-states like Venice, Florence, and Milan, and was a battlefield for the Byzantines, Lombards, Franks, and later foreign empires like Spain and Austria. Italy became unified in the 19th century, and in 1861, the Kingdom of Italy was declared. Mussolini consolidated power in 1922 and formed a fascist dictatorship. Italy joined the Axis in World War II, but switched sides in 1943. After the war, it became a republic. In 1946, Italy became industrial and grew into one of the largest economies. Italy remains an influential EU and NATO member. Italy's rich culture continues to impact the world. Germany. Germany's early growth was shaped by Germanic tribes resisting Rome. After the decline of Rome, Germany was ruled by the Franks, prior to becoming part of the Holy Roman Empire, which lasted until 1806 when it was disbanded by Napoleon. During the 19th century, Prussia became strong. Otto von Bismarck unified Germany following victories in wars with Denmark, Austria, and France. The German Empire was established in 1871 under Kaiser Wilhelm I. Germany industrialized rapidly and became a colonial power. After its defeat in World War I, Germany formed into the Weimar Republic in 1933. Hitler established the Nazi regime, which led to rapid expansion in World War II. After genocide and devastation, Germany surrendered in 1945. Germany was divided into East Germany and West Germany. But after the collapse of the USSR in 1989, Germany reunified in 1990. In the 21st century, Germany is Europe's strongest economy, a hub of technological innovation and diplomacy. That was just the beginning, but we still have the moderate and the radical transformations. Turkey. The history of Turkey starts with the ancient civilizations of Anatolia. The Byzantine Empire, also known as the Eastern Roman Empire, ruled the region until it was invaded by the Turks in the 11th century. The Ottoman Empire was founded around 1299 by Osman I and became a vast world power. It dominated the Balkans, the Middle East, and North Africa. The Ottomans famously conquered Constantinople in 1453 and conquered the Byzantine Empire and established Istanbul as the new capital. It began to decline in the 18th and 19th century, losing territory to internal corruption, nationalist uprisings, and wars. In World War I, the Ottomans entered on the side of the Central Powers and were defeated. The post-war treaties dissolved the empire, and Istanbul was occupied, and plans were drawn for partition. Mustafa Kemal Atatürk led the Turkish War of Independence, founding the Republic of Turkey in 1923. Atatürk implemented sweeping reforms to modernize Turkey, including a new legal system, Latin alphabet, and women's suffrage. Turkey is a regional power that bridges Europe and Asia. Today, it is perched on a wealthy cultural heritage. Turkey is a member of NATO and a significant player in Middle Eastern politics. The United States of America. The United States began as 13 British colonies along the Atlantic coast in 1776. The colonies declared independence after the Revolutionary War. The U.S. triumphed in 1783. The early 19th century was highlighted by acquiring land through the Louisiana Purchase and the Mexican-American War. Tensions over slavery led to the Civil War. The Union defeated the Confederacy and slavery was abolished. By the late 1800s, the U.S. industrialized rapidly and emerged as a global power. It acquired overseas territories after the Spanish-American War and entered World War I in 1917, helping to turn the tide of the Allied victory. During World War II, America defeated the Axis and emerged as a superpower. This was followed by the Cold War between the U.S. and the Soviet Union, the Korean War and the Vietnam War, the space race, and possible nuclear fallout marked the era. At home, the U.S. went through the Civil Rights Movement, the technology boom, and the Great Recession. These were 21st century turning points. Nowadays, the U.S. is one of the federal republics and world leaders in technology, culture, and military power. However, it faces competition from countries like Russia and China. Its future will depend upon how it deals with these pressures, while remaining committed to its founding ideals. Now it's time for the radical transformations. Iran. Iran's history begins with the Elamite kingdoms of ancient southwestern Iran, but its first great empire was the Achaemenid Empire, founded by Cyrus the Great. It stretched from the Balkans to the Indus Valley region. The Persian Empire fell to Alexander the Great in 330 BC. Following the Seleucid weakness, Iran was conquered by the Parthians. They were followed by the Sasanian Empire, a centralized Zoroastrian state, often at war with Rome and Byzantium. Persia was overrun in 651 by the Islamic Caliphate. Persian language and identity persisted. The local dynasties of the Tahirids, Samanids, and Buyids soon reasserted themselves. They were followed by the Seljuks, Mongols, and Timurids, each of which withdrew Iran's borders and ruled. The Safavid period reunited Iran and made Shia Islam the official religion, and fought repeatedly with the Ottoman Empire. The Safavids were succeeded by the Afghan invasions and internal chaos, which weakened Iran until the rise of the Qajars, who lost territory to Russia and came under British influence. The Pahlavi dynasty in 1925 modernized the nation. Muhammad Reza Shah's authoritarian rule provoked resentment that culminated in the 1979 Islamic Revolution, which deposed the monarchy and created a theocratic republic. The Iran-Iraq War devastated the country. Iran has since grappled with Western sanctions because of its nuclear program and regional actions, but remains a strong cultural and geopolitical force. Russia. Russia began with the East Slav and the formation of the Kievan Rus, a Byzantine culture and an Orthodox Christian federation centered in Kiev. The 13th century Mongol invasion devastated the Kievan Rus, dividing the territory and allowing the Grand Duchy of Moscow to emerge, establishing the foundation of the Russian state. In 1547, Ivan the Terrible proclaimed himself the first Tsar of Russia, consolidating authority and expanding into Siberia. The Romanov dynasty, established in 1613, oversaw the development of Russia into a vast empire stretching from Europe to the Pacific Ocean. Under Peter the Great, Russia was modernized and open to Western influence. The 19th century brought reform and turmoil, including the emancipation of serfs and the defeat in the Crimean War. The Russian Revolution of 1917 ended the monarchy and led to the creation of the Soviet Union, a communist superpower that shaped global politics for much of the 20th century. The USSR expanded after World War II but collapsed in 1991, paving the way for the Russian Federation. Russia continues to grapple with economic reforms, political consolidation under figures like Vladimir Putin, and an ongoing war, while trying to reassert itself on the international scene. Poland. Poland's origins go back to the Polans, a West Slavic tribe from the 500s. In 966, Duke Macekel I converted to Christianity. This marked the start of the Pius dynasty. In 1025, Poland became a kingdom under Boleslav I. Poland faced many invasions, including the Bohemian invasion and the devastating Mongol invasion of 1238. The union with Lithuania in 1569 formed the Polish-Lithuanian Commonwealth, one of Europe's largest and most populated states. It was known for its unique system of noble democracy and religious tolerance. The Swedish Duelage in 1655 was a disastrous invasion. This contributed to the gradual decline of the Commonwealth. Internal conflicts, wars, and rising neighboring powers led to the partition invasions of Poland by Russia, Prussia, and Austria, which erased Poland from the map for over a century. In 1807, Napoleon established the Duchy of Warsaw, but it was dissolved after his defeat. The Congress of Vienna in 1815 created the Congress of Poland, a semi-autonomous kingdom under Russian control. This was fully incorporated into the Russian Empire by 1863 after failed uprisings. Poland regained independence as the Second Polish Republic in 1918. However, it was invaded and divided by Germany and the Soviet Union, suffering immense casualties and destruction. After the war, it became the People's Republic of Poland under communist rule in 1952. The Solidarity movement in the 1980s, led by Lech Walesa, challenged communist rule. This inspired political change and resulted in democratic reforms by 1989. Nowadays, Poland is a member of NATO with a growing economy and a strong national identity rooted in its turbulent history and cultural heritage. Thanks for watching, and don't forget to subscribe so you can be notified about new videos.